Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Sights on Sinnoh, the anime review podcast focusing on Diamond and Pearl as we head towards Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl coming out later this year. Today I'm joined once again by Karina. How are you doing today?
Hello, hi, I'm good. How are you, Will?
Pretty good, surviving the heat. Wishing I had a Piplup to rain down on me with some bubble beams to cool me down.
Oh, that sounds pretty ideal.
Yeah, maybe like a fierce whirlpool. Though I think that might cause some head trauma.
I don't know. I think a chill bubble beam is great.
Yeah, that's a good medium there. But yeah, today we're jumping into episode 33 and 34 of the anime, which have a good spotlight on Piplup since we're talking about that now.
Indeed.
But yeah, overall, what were some of your expectations going into these two episodes?
Yeah, I wasn't totally sure what to expect. So I have caught up on the rest of the episodes, although I kind of have been watching them while multitasking, so it's very possible that I've missed like some major plot points up until now. But like I feel like the past few episodes, I'm like, where are we going? Like, what is happening? They seem to be going on a lot of like side adventures. Like they went into this like 2-episode arc where they did a cave with combies and stuff, right? So I was like, I didn't know what to expect for these two. Yeah, I will save other overarching thoughts for a little bit later.
Totally, yeah. We're in like a weird in-between period where it seems to take forever to get them from Eterna Forest to Eterna City, even though it's like right next door. So there is a lot that happens here, and I'd say this series of episodes right here is generally pretty strong, and then it gets kind of weird later on, but we'll see what people think once we get to those, because today we're talking about episode 33, All Dressed Up with Somewhere to Go. What could convince our heroes to take a time out from their journey to Eterna City? A Pokemon dress-up contest where Pokemon try to imitate other Pokemon. Ash and Pikachu, Dawn and Piplup, and Brock and Krogunk, even Team Rocket, they're all entering the contest in hopes of winning the Pokemon Egg prize. But will any of them be able to beat the reigning champion, a singing Chatot? So that is one of the longest run-on sentences that I've seen in the summary to these episodes. But
A+ Bulbapedia.
Yeah, I'm like, oh jeez. Also, last time that I think, or one or two times before when we recorded, there was also
there was a mistake.
Yeah, they just copied and pasted.
They started it wrong.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the luck. Overall, what did you think about the intro to this episode?
So I was really okay. This was like super out of the blue. Mm-hmm. For an episode. I was like, why, how is this, why is this a thing and why are we doing it? But like, sure, I am 100% here for it. But actually, a couple months ago now, like before I started watching any of the anime, including Indigo League, which I started watching with my boyfriend a few months ago. The reason we started watching that was because he was like going down some YouTube rabbit hole and sent me this like 1-minute YouTube video of Pikachu pulling all these faces.
Oh,
and he's like,
funny.
I don't know what the context of this is, but like this is hilarious and we need to watch this show. And I was like, great. So I saw the opening with like the Turtwig Trapinch especially. It really got me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the episode. And I was not disappointed.
That's so funny. So you went like full circle now?
Yes, totally. Which was very exciting.
That's awesome. Did you end up watching this episode with him?
I didn't, but I will definitely go back and rewatch it with him. 100%.
Nice.
And like pause and examine every single imitation, which I didn't get a chance to do this time around.
Yeah.
But, they're all so good. I love them so much. Oh my gosh.
They're surprisingly well thought out for this like little opening sequence, which is weird in terms of presentation because they don't give you any context. It's just like a piece of footage that they have playing in the background of this news program that we saw earlier on, I believe, called Sinnoh Now. And
yes,
the newscaster is like, oh, this is a competition that happened last year. Here's some footage of some of the participants and the winner, which was Chatot. And now we're hosting it again because it's an annual thing. There's a Pokemon Eggs prize. And let's see who the winner will be. And there's like a whole line of people outside. And that's kind of it. They're just like showing at the camera. There's this running plot, or this running gag of the Rhonda, who's the anchor of the show, getting hit in the face with a microphone because the microphone guy is just not doing a great job at holding it up over her. That's how it starts, and we don't even see Ash, Dawn, or Brock at all until after the opening credits.
Yeah, that was also a thought I had as we were going through this. I was like, did I like skip ahead? Did I miss some context? Like, where are our main characters? What is happening right now? I mean, I'm okay with all of these like crazy Pokemon being shown, but also like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of abrupt.
It definitely, I'm like, at first, are we going to see them? Is this just going to be like a Team Rocket episode or something? Which would have been interesting, but I think it goes in the fun direction once we see what's happening, which is that Ash and everyone is in the stands of the contest, and Rhonda comes out wearing her Charon costume to kind of announce we're going to get started and make sure to sign up. And then Ash and his friends run out from the audience seating to go and sign up, which I was like, what? Why? What? Like, did you just come in here, take a seat, and not know what was going on? And then we're like, oh, I want to participate?
I think that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, after the whole debacle with like the very first contest where like Ash decided at the last minute he wanted to join, and then like he didn't sign up, and then it turned out like Dawn also hadn't signed up, even though like, and this comes back again, I think in the next episode too, I had this thought, but it's like Dawn has literally one job, which is to like keep track of the contests and sign up for them, and she's just like all over the place. I guess this isn't like a one of the contests she came out for, but based on their previous behavior with the first contest, I was like not that surprised that they're just like, great, sign me up.
Yeah, that's very fair that this is the level of care and planning we're seeing from our heroes so far.
Oh yeah.
But as they're racing down the hall, Brock reminds them, hey, you have to pick who you're going to put into the contest. And we get a little fun scene where they all call out their Pokemon, and they're just in the hallway imagining how they might look like in different costumes or what other Pokemon they'll be able to imitate. And Ash is like deciding between Turtwig, Staravia, and Apom, and he just can't get a good mental image of what they might look like in his head. Until Pikachu very confidently comes up and says, hey, pick me. Like, that's basically the vibe I got from that.
Totally. And also going back a few episodes when they met Cheryl and they were trying to evolve the Burmy. When they battled Pikachu, I know this is like totally a tangent and not my episode, but when Ash was like, okay, Pikachu, like you have to let Burmy beat you so you can evolve, and Pikachu like gets hit with a tackle and does like the most dramatic face ever. I thought that was like the cutest thing. Not surprised that Pikachu is again showing its flair for the dramatic at wanting to do these impressions for this contest.
That's very true. I totally forgot about that actually, but it seems like Pikachu has a little stage experience, apparently.
Yeah. And then Pikachu also pretended to be Sugar. Like, Pikachu is an experienced actor at this point. I don't know how Pikachu wasn't the first Pokemon Ash thought of with all of like the acting Pikachu's been doing, but it's like all been leading up to this moment.
Yeah.
This is what the preparation has been for.
Both Ash and I forgot about Pikachu's extensive resume, apparently.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay. Well, I'm very curious about where this goes for Pikachu later on in his celebrity status.
Yeah.
But this does lead us to the moment that you were talking about earlier of Pikachu like molding its body to imitate different Pokemon, including Seviper, Lotad, Wobbuffet, and Loudred, to name a few.
And Mudkip. I love the Mudkip one.
That was really cute. Now, when I think about it, a lot of those are Pokemon that have been like main characters in the series so far, except for Loudred. So I'm wondering where he's pulling that one from. But Mudkip and Lotad were both Pokemon that Brock had. Seviper is a Pokemon that Jesse usually uses. So those are ones that I would think, are in Pikachu's kind of recent memory of encountering.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. And then there's like an Igglybuff or something. And I'm like, what? Where did this come from? But it does.
Oh, and then there's also a Badoo, I think.
Oh,
sorry, just like
yes.
I really enjoyed all of Pikachu's impressions. I definitely need to go back and like watch that again 12 times. It was good.
It goes by really fast, which is funny, but it does show a creative way of dressing up or imitating other Pokemon, which is kind of where I was like, oh, the rules are kind of loose then for this. It's more about imitation, even though it's called a dress-up contest.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the first time that this has happened in like the entire anime series, but this must have just been some artist who was like really bored and was like, how many different Pokemon can I make Pikachu look like? And it just like turned into a whole thing. Like, that must be how this all started.
I could really see that, given the focus that it has on Pikachu more than the contest at points.
Yeah, totally.
But you do see a good amount of different Pokemon trying to compete, which I thought was fun. On our hero side, we see Dawn bring in Piplup. Brock brings in Krogunk to Sudowoodo's dismay, but immediately it cheers up. Jesse brings in Meowth, who has a complicated act, which we'll get to. And then James brings in Mime Jr., which I was like, finally, we're seeing him use this Pokemon.
Yeah, I was really excited, especially more toward the end, to actually see Mime Jr. do stuff.
I love Mime Jr., such a cutie. So, let me see if there's anything else here. But yeah, they basically go and sign up. Jesse, of course, tries to hog the spotlight again, using a, like, cowgirl persona, which we've seen in earlier episodes. And to answer your question from earlier, I don't believe we've seen a dress-up contest like this before.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so first time here, at least in Sinnoh. Contestants start off with a disturbing imitation of Suicune by a Mighty Enna.
Yeah, that was weird. Although I'm gonna throw it out there and say that I think the most disturbing imitation in this entire episode was like earlier in that montage when there was this Caterpie Gyarados abomination happening. That was kind of horrifying.
The Gyarados dressed up as this Caterpie was not well received by the judges either. They immediately gave it all access, I think.
Yeah, it was yucky.
Yeah, the judges here are also Officer Jenny, Nurse Joy, and
the remarkable guy.
Yes, Mr. Suzuko, I think.
Yes. And it was fun that, because last time we saw him, he was just like, besides, remarkable the whole time. But this time he was like, not remarkable, which I appreciated, showing some range there.
And that's actually the inspiration for Brock to join, of all things, because he likes how this guy is standing between both Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny.
Yep. Typical Brock.
Typical Brock here. He enters with a Krogunk dressed up as Politoed, which actually looks pretty good.
It did look pretty good, but like I feel like the episode overrated this imitation.
Yes.
Just gonna throw that out there.
I also kind of came to that conclusion based off some discrepancies from what I read and what I watched. But this does actually remind me of a recent event in Pokemon Sword and Shield where they were promoting toads and frogs, and both Politoed and Krogunk were in these promoted raids. So I thought it was funny little comparison there, because that's of course what he dresses up Krogunk as.
Oh, that is funny, because I remember everyone was just getting like 5-star Krogunks and nobody was getting Politoads. So that seems appropriate. Yeah. I'm sure it was a callback to this episode specifically.
Exactly. They're listening to the podcast. They know where we're at.
Oh yeah, totally.
Then Piplup dresses up as a Weedle, so another Gen 1 bug type that we see early on.
This was
And
very cute, and I loved how Piplup got so excited that he used Bubble Beam, and the judges were like,
nope.
that was good until you did that.
Mhm.
But I thought it was very sweet how into it Piplup got.
Like, I liked it. I was like, oh, that's funny. The beak, it kind of looks like the little nub that Weedle has. And, like, I get it, the head, but also kind of creeped me out a little bit.
I liked it. I thought it
Okay.
was cute.
That's good. Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it, especially with Piplup in the spotlight there. But as you mentioned, yeah, it gets disqualified because it gets too excited with the Bubble Beam, and Weedle cannot learn Bubble Beam, unfortunately, if you believe me there. And then we see the Chatot doing another repeat performance of its singing, where it imitates another Pokemon that we've seen earlier in the anime, which is Jigglypuff.
I
And
thought this was really funny. It was like kind of lame, and everyone's like, "This is dumb." But I also really I just like enjoyed all of the imitations. I feel like I am very easily amused, but I was amused by all of these, including Chatot doing the Jigglypuff song, and also like Chatot talking, which was I mean, I guess that makes sense, but it was like unexpected for me. And then I think his trainer being like, do something else. And he's like, okay. And then does the Jigglypuff song again. And I was like, oh, just let him do what he wants to do. He's having fun.
yeah, and you know what's funny about this episode?
What?
We don't see a Pokédex entry for Chatot.
That is true. Surprising.
This is actually, I think, because we saw it in Battle Frontier back in Hoenn/Kanto days. So I wonder if they're just like, that was recent enough, so we don't need to look it up.
Wait, did we not get any Pokedex entries this entire episode?
I don't think we did, now that you mention it.
Wow, amazing.
Because there's nothing new. Dawn maybe could have looked up Chatot, but I'm guessing everyone gets the gist. It's a parrot.
Yeah. I think she figured it out probably. I would hope.
Yeah, she's like, I'll need to pull it out for this one. And then we see Team Rocket's performances with Jessie bringing in Meowth dressed up as Weavile. She's like, oh yeah, Meowth can also imitate other Pokemon noises, so it starts saying the names of other Pokemon. And they're like, oh my god, that's amazing! And at this point, I'm like, someone from Ash's side must be figuring it out, right?
No, because Team Rocket's disguises are absolutely impermeable and
jeez.
amazing, so there's no way they could know.
And then we see the other member of Team Rocket, James, bring in Mime Jr. for, like, not very sophisticated, but extremely cute performance with Mime Jr., where it wears a clay doll little beanie and spins around like a clay doll. Yeah, everyone loves it still, which I'm like, all right, fair. It's Mime Jr. I'll let this slide. And they make it to the next round. So it's Krogunk with Brock, Pikachu, and Ash, James and Jessie, both with their Mime Jr. and Meowth. And then the Chatot. So it's all returning. It's all new people that like haven't performed last year and the returning champion.
Yes.
They start their second appeal round with Chatot singing Jigglypuff again, and then the trainer's like, hey Chatot, everyone's heard that already. How about we try something new? And shows them a picture of Lapras. And I was like, oh, they're gonna maybe do like some opera singing like Lapras might do. But then it's just Jigglypuff, but to the words of Lapras. So same tune,
Yeah,
same song.
It actually caught me off guard for a sec. He like started singing and I was like, is that what Lapras sounds like? And I was like, no, that's still Jigglypuff's song.
So I could really relate to Jessie in this moment because she's like, that's the same song.
Yeah.
And the crowd loves it, which also irritated me and Jessie. So very relatable this episode. And she's like, oh, we might not be able to win. And then Meowth's like, hey, Jessie, we can just steal the egg. And she's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, totally. We're standing on a stage being watched by thousands of people. This is the perfect moment to pull off a heist.
And she, of course, does realize that. So she does what any incredible
Mastermind criminal.
exactly would do and points out into the crowd and says, look, what's that?
Which works on every single person in the stadium.
Except Krogunk,
Except Krogunk.
who's our MVP of this episode, I'd say. And no one notices that the jar where the egg was in is also just like open, even though it's like in the middle of an empty stage. And then Jesse's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was a legendary Pokemon," and then drags James off with her because he still wants to perform. And everyone's like, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you leaving?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry, it's okay." And Krogunk drags Brock over to the egg case and shows him that it's empty, where he immediately is like, "Hold up, something's happening."
Yes, indeed. Although, like, the correct play here would have been to, like, take the egg and then continue with the contest, you know? Because, like, well, I don't know. I was going to say, like, if you're on stage, you would be the last person to be suspected, but I guess all of the suspects would have to be on stage because somebody would have had to be there. But anyway, I digress. They get caught by MVP Krogunk here.
Like, maybe if they'd planned it out before, they could have had a decoy egg and just replaced it, you know, like Indiana Jones style. But clearly not the smartest plan in this situation. So they reveal themselves as Team Rocket, and Officer Jenny tries to stop them with Growlithe, who she actually has a Growlithe hat of, so that's kind of cute. But
I didn't even notice. That's cute.
Nurse Joy has a Chansey hat, actually. So both themed after their respective Pokemon. But Growlithe cannot see through smoke, because I think Jesse uses haze to, like, cover up the vision of everyone on stage, and then runs out the hallway with the egg. And immediately jumps into the balloon, which is just parked in front of the arena.
Very conveniently.
They set that up somehow, but like didn't plan the rest out. So I don't know what's happening here. But they take off in their balloon, and Ash sends out Staravia. And then we get this cute moment where you blink and you miss it, of Piplup and Pikachu riding on Growlithe.
Yes, I wrote this down too. It was a good moment.
It's so nice because they aren't like, "Pikachu, Piplup, go ride on Growlithe." It just happened. Like, we don't even see it.
Yeah, it was pretty good. They're a team.
Yes, they're just like, "All right, we're doing this justice time."
Yeah.
And they try attacking Team Rocket, who keeps countering them. James is still very upset by not being able to perform with Mime Jr. because he was like, "We would have won the egg anyway." Immediately, they're like, they're not dealing with James today, and James is also not having it. So he uses Teeter Dance, and I thought he did it on purpose.
IQ.
Right, because at first it sounds like he's doing it on purpose because he's mad at James and at Jesse and Meowth, but then he immediately is like, "Oh, I forgot that affects like everyone, not just our targets." So Meowth is now confused and shaking around the controls to the balloon because he's the pilot in this situation.
Yeah, I was like, James pulled out Mime and was like, said nice. It was like, you're the only champ, Mime Jr., and we're gonna do the thing, like, do Teeter Dance. And I was like, oh yeah, like Mime Jr. is like being useful and doing stuff. And then I was immediately like, nope, Mime Jr. is still useless.
Yeah, which I don't know if they're like trying to show, oh yeah, Teeter Dance is a cool move, but it'll also confuse your allies. But it's a weird way of executing it, in my opinion.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's very convenient because it brought Team Rocket down.
Exactly, yeah, it gives an opening for our heroes to get in close, and the egg to go flying off in the air. So Dawn pulls a really smart move and actually brings out Baniri to catch the egg by using Bounce to get close enough to grab it out of the air and come in for a soft landing.
Baniri, real MVP of this episode.
Yeah, that's fair. Baniri, yeah. I think I'll have to give it to Baniri over here. Because Brock does try to use Krogunk to help, but it's still pretending to be Politoed and just clapping.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but it's also like, oh my gosh, Krogunk, like, chill, you need to be useful here right now.
No, Krogunk has like the bigger picture in mind. Like, he knows where this is heading.
Krogunk's playing the long con here.
Oh yeah.
So they're able to rescue the egg effectively and come back to finish off the contest. Where Brock's like, Krogan, don't get your hopes up. Like, he actually tells it to that. Which I was like, wow, Brock, you gotta have a little faith in him.
I mean, to be fair, he's just been standing there clapping as a Polytoad for like an hour.
Yes, true, but it pays off because he wins.
He does, and I was like, why did this happen? But, it is what it is. Brock has an egg now.
And I remember reading the summary. They say that Krogunk did not stray from character even during all the commotion that Team Rocket caused. So for that, he earns the egg. Which, on paper, sounds cool. Kind of like, oh, like they're like judging even this whole time. But in actuality, it's very weird because they only show Krogunk doing that for like a minute, and they also don't necessarily show the rest of the judges actually watching Krogunk do this. So I'm like,
true.
How
and
did
also,
they know?
Like, in the grand scheme of things, wouldn't you rather be like helpful than in character the whole time? But I guess they're not judging like hero-ness. They're judging your character-ness. So I guess that tracks.
They're very, very strict about the rubric for this contest.
Yeah, clearly.
So this earns Brock the egg, and also a congratulations from from Jenny and Nurse Joy. And Krogunk just keeps clapping the whole time, staying in character, which to me is also a little disturbing because Krogunk is one of those Pokemon where I'm like, are you good? Are you bad? Are you just like chaotic neutral? What's going on here?
I think chaotic neutral is what Krogunk is. That sounds about right.
Pretty much wraps up the episode, leaving us with a new egg on the team in Brock's possession, and a little side story with some fun animation showing off Pokemon in disguise. Was pleasantly surprised by this episode because I've totally forgot the plot of this and all that happens. I'd say the visual is still some of the strongest just because we get to see some creativity with a lot of these Pokemon and how they dress up as other ones. And there's a decent amount of action in here as well with the whole rescue mission for the egg. Generally, not a lot of cons here except for people being very oblivious to Team Rocket trying to steal this egg.
Yeah, I think... I mean, it was fine. It wasn't all that interesting plot, or didn't drive the story forward plot wise at all. So I feel like I would take some points off for that. But I did very much enjoy all of the Pokemon imitations. A+ for that.
Yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. So I would give it a 6.5 out of 10 if I were to rate it.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Really? Okay. How come? What was it? Just the peels that really stood out to you for the dress-up part?
I mean, it was it was a weird plot episode and didn't match anything and was very confusing, but I was very entertained by the Pokemon imitations. And I feel like the whole goal of this is to entertain you, and I was entertained, so
fair.
I'm good with that.
Totally fair there. And what do you think about the egg and the fact that Brock got it out of all people?
I mean, I feel like Brock needs some new additions to his team. He hasn't been really doing much, so I feel like that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna be in the egg. I'm gonna vote for a Gibble. I would like to see Brock have a Gibble. I just want someone on the team to have a Garchomp. I think that'd be great. That
pink Gibble egg?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Shiny. It's gonna be a shiny Mega Garchomp. It works.
Oh, okay. I can see that for sure. I think looking back at this now, I never considered it as a kid, I think, is that they're really emphasizing in the few moments that we do see Brock that he's a Pokemon breeder.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we got a lot of that at the start of the season, with Brock being very breedy in more ways than one. But yeah, I feel like they highlighted this again when he was talking about how exciting it is to have eggs and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Right, so I'm like, maybe that's why? Because at this point, Brock's never had an egg. It's always been either Ash, Misty, yeah, I guess technically Misty, and May that have had an egg. So first time for him.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice to see him get that treatment. And also, like, generally, I'd say that he takes care of the eggs for the other characters a lot of the time anyway. So it's like, might as well give him one for himself.
That would make sense.
But that's pretty much it here for episode 33. So let's jump into episode 34, which is pretty different, I'd say. And I think a little more on track. But let's save that until we get a little more into our discussion about it. Episode 34, Buizel your way out of this. On the way to Eterna City, our heroes go fishing in hopes of catching a powerful Buizel that's been spotted in a nearby river. They're joined by Zoe, Dawn's friend and rival, who's in the area to do some fishing. But it's Dawn who ends up with Buizel on her fishing line. So that's actually a lot of like the first part of this episode here, which does start with a cold opening, and honestly, not that bad. It's just simple and to the point.
Yeah, what was the cold open for this one?
It was Ash battling Buizel by going in for a Volt Tackle and knocking away Buizel's water gun and then putting it in the ball with a suspense of, will he catch it or will it break out?
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I'm still not a fan of this whole cold open thing in general, but yeah, this was fine. And like you get the idea it's gonna be about a Buizel, so you show a fight with a Buizel with Ash and Pikachu who you know are going to be involved, so like sure. Show us that at the opening, that's fine.
What I thought was weird about it is that it does cold opening credits, and then it does a conversation of Ash and his friends walking along, and then all these other trainers are talking about a Buizel that knocked out their Pokemon, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go battle this Buizel, and then title card, and then back to the plot. It's like, just pick one. Like, there's too much.
Yeah.
So the cold open also happens within like 5 minutes of the beginning of the episode, so I'm like, okay, you had me, but now it just really doesn't feel like you needed this at all.
That's fair. I mean, let's just ditch the cold opens. Like, what are they there for?
Yeah, I think they'll be gone by the end of the season, but
Lovely.
we'll see how that goes. So the interesting part about this episode is that they're still on their way to Eterna City, and technically in between these two towns is where you can catch Buizel. That would have been closer to Floroma Town and Valley Windworks, but I guess they're still playing with the idea that it's one long river that goes around and connects to both of these. I guess through the anime, but it's kind of nice that they're like, oh, Buizel could technically be found in this area if you stretch the definition a little bit. And then Ash and his friends start fishing, with Ash using a special lure that he actually got from Misty.
Yeah, it was nice to see a little Misty recognition. I was like still on like the Misty reminiscing, like, oh, that's so nice, they're bringing back a previous character. But like immediately after that they brought back Zoe, and I was like, oh, look, it's another character, and she has like almost the same hair as Misty in terms of like color and spikiness, and I was like, I don't know if this is on purpose, but I was like, oh, this is a lot for like 5 seconds.
The redheads can tell when one's nearby or they're present.
Yeah, totally.
Clearly. Yeah, and that's where they meet Zoe as well, who, well, we'll go back to the Misty part. Misty does use this in a few episodes to, like, some comedic relief, where she tries to use it to fish, and then, like, nothing comes at her. So it's kind of fun to see that Ash actually now uses it as well. And as they're fishing, Zoe comes out and is like, oh, hey guys, like, I'm just like passing through here, and Dawn gets super excited. So, and to me, it gave off like people at middle school or something meeting, and they're like, oh, the cool person's here, let me try to be really cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Zoe's like this like
Okay.
cool like older kid who has like won more contests and is like yeah, she's like cool. So of course Dawn is like, "Oh my gosh, like the cool big kid is here and like wants to hang out with us." So of course she's excited. That makes sense.
Yeah, which I find kind of funny, and it's also like showing that they're rivals, but Dawn's still less experienced in this case, so she has room to grow, which I think does kind of happen in this episode in a very nice fashion.
Yeah.
But being distracted by trying to press Zoe a little bit and telling her all about this strong Buizel that's beating up trainers here, Dawn does not notice at first that her fishing rod has had a bite on it, and Zoe points it out to her, so she runs over and pulls up on the fishing rod, and out comes Buizel, who is just not even like biting the lure, is just grabbing onto it with its hand.
That also makes sense for a weasel.
Yes.
Also, before we keep going, just in like the chit chat while Dawn and Zoe are catching up, and Zoe's like, "Oh, I'm headed to like the next contest in this town. Are you going there too?" And Dawn's like, "Well, now I am because you told me about it." And I'm like I said this earlier, but Dawn, you have one job. And
Yeah.
it's to know where the next contest is. Like, what were you doing up until this moment of time that you didn't even know what the next contest was? But
Yeah. I assumed like she found out at the last one that she won, but apparently she did not. So, luckily she ran into Zoe here. But also to her luck, or maybe not her luck, this Buizel comes out fierce and is like, "I want to battle." Immediately takes on her Piplup, which she brings out, and Brock's like, "Oh, whoever has the stronger moves is going to win here because they're both water types."
Yeah, was that statement really necessary? Like, I feel like
no.
I feel like that's like kind of a given, but sure. Okay, Brock, give us your hard-hitting elucidation commentary.
Your insightful gym leader knowledge is really coming into play here, Brock.
Yeah.
And the battle starts, and Piplup goes in for Peck, Buizel dodges, and then there's a bubble beam, and Buizel dodges again. So it's just having a rough time even getting a scratch on Buizel while it hits Piplup with Sonic Boom and Water Gun, and then just basically dazes it using a flurry of Aqua Jets until Piplup gets knocked out, and Buizel has not taken any damage.
No, Buizel is ready to go. He's like,
Yeah.
"Come at me, Zoe. Give me all you got. I'm ready for the next battle."
he's going through the battle tower here, but it's just these trainers. And Zoe brings out Glameow, which I was like, "Oh, Glameow can beat this, right? Like, we've seen it beat Piplup, Apom, and it's probably even gotten stronger since the last contest."
Nope.
Yep, big nope here. Even as it goes in for Shadow Ball and Iron Tail, it just keeps getting countered and overpowered by Buizel until it immediately gets knocked out after some Aqua Jets, and Zoe retreats from the battle. I don't think she used Thunderbolt at all, which we've seen Glameow actually use before and would have been good in this scenario.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think of that. Get it together, Zoe. Jeez, this
yes.
is why she lost the last contest. She's falling apart.
Her confidence is still shaken from that, apparently. But did you notice what she said when she brought out Glameow?
She said curtain.
Yes! I thought you would catch this.
Yes, so I guess that answers my question of like, what? I guess it's her like, "I choose you" thing, and it's not just a contest thing.
Yeah,
I actually noticed a few episodes ago, Jessie also, I forgot now what her phrase was, but she also like said her phrase like in a battle, not in a contest. So I was like, I guess this is a thing.
Okay. I can't remember Jessie's, but I'll look out for that next time.
Yeah.
But Buizel's already looking for its next battle. Again, after taking basically 0 damage here. And Ash steps in with Pikachu. Which I was like, okay. Pikachu's gotta win here, right? Electric versus water type. It's already battled 2 other Pokemon, so it must be like somewhat tired.
Yeah, it's like level 400. We're ready.
But it all kind of goes the same, though Pikachu is able to hit it with an Iron Tail at one point. But after a bit, Buizel manages to knock Pikachu into the water itself in the river, and as it tries to swim to shore, Buizel pops out and then hits it back underwater with a kick, basically. Where it's like, geez, is Buizel using high jump kick or something? And just pushes Pikachu deeper underwater, where, while it's still in contact with Buizel, tries to use Thunderbolt, which I was like, oh, this is where it turns around, right?
I was also ready for it to turn around at that moment.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't escape, you're underwater. If he uses Thunderbolt, it's just going to shock everything. But then I think it just, like, sonic booms to propel itself away from Pikachu, and then there's just an explosion in the water as Pikachu comes flying out and hits Ash on the head, knocked out. Yep. It just knocks out all three of these trainers, and Brock apparently is just like, I'm good.
Very wise of him. He has his egg, he's fine, he doesn't need to add somebody else to his team right now.
Yeah, it's like, I'm okay for right now with this egg. And Buizel takes its prizes, which are Ash and Dawn's fishing rod, and then swims away to its home, presumably. So Brock calls out, oh, it's doing that to show off how many victories it's had over trainers, which I thought was actually a decent observation on his part.
Yeah, also, like, I don't know, it was kind of weird. I was like, Buizel's kind of a jerk. He, like, beats you up and then takes your stuff. Like, he's just a big bully.
He's part of the local crime syndicate, actually.
That would make sense. That all tracks.
So they run after this Buizel alongside the shore. Team Rocket is like, oh wow, that Buizel is powerful, so we should go after it. After Meowth convinces them with a classic little fantasy about their boss Giovanni, which is, you know what, not the worst one we've heard.
I mean, sure.
It's basically Meowth talking about how Giovanni goes on cruises or sailing, and if it's caught out in a thunderstorm, Buizel can help rescue him, which is like, alright, sure, it's a strong water type, but like, I mean, I'll give it to you. And eventually, our heroes catch up to Buizel, who has like this little training den, where it's collected all these fishing rods, and now it's practicing its water gun. After Ash and Dawn collect their fishing poles, Buizel spots them and then shoots out what looks like a water gun for Ash and Pikachu, but it's actually to hit the Oranberry tree, which is right behind them. And Brock comments, oh yeah, that makes sense. Oranberries are good for recovering health after a battle, which is like, like in the games, Oranberry restores 10 HP to Pokemon when they eat it.
Yeah, Buizel doesn't need a trainer. Buizel knows, like, what's up.
He knows his stats. He knows his HP and power points.
Oh, yeah.
So, Ash immediately is still mad because Buizel's messing with him, clearly. Like, it just barely misses Ash with water gun, and it's only to go over and eat these berries. And then Buizel again goes in for an Aqua Jet on Ash and Pikachu, immediately just, like, going full aggro on them, but also is like, I don't want to battle you, but I'm going to train right now. If you want to train with me, I guess, like, see if you can handle it kind of attitude.
Yeah, totally.
Ash immediately is like, alright, I'll do it, kind of. Like, Buizel isn't even talking. Brock's really just interpreting a lot of what Buizel's saying here, so we have to take it all with a grain of salt.
Yeah, but Pikachu is apparently still alive, right? This is what happens. So, like, Ash is just taking another go.
Yeah, it says he sees how Buizel, like, hits a waterfall with Sonic Boom or something, and is like, we can do that too. So he has Pikachu use Iron Tail on the waterfall, and then Ash runs up to go and kick it. I don't know what they're trying to prove here exactly, but then they just fall into the water. And Dawn's also inspired by this, so she sends out Piplup to hit the waterfall with Peck, and then also just kind of falls into the water, which I thought was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, also, I don't know why everyone suddenly, like, freaked out when this penguin fell into the water. It's like,
Yeah.
I think Piplu's gonna be okay, just, like, chill. But everyone's like, oh, no! But
Yeah.
It all ends up okay.
It's like they're more worried about Piplup than Ash.
Yeah.
And then they climb to the top of this waterfall with, like, everyone almost falling down except for Buizel as they kind of jump on the rocks to get to the top here. Buizel goes in for a dramatic dive using like Sonic Boom and Water Gun to break the fall. Pikachu and Ash go down, and then Piplup goes down using Peck. I'm like, wait, why didn't you use like Whirlpool or Bubble Beam? Very weird.
He's saving his Whirlpool for the right moment.
I guess. This whole sequence was just weird to me. I'm like, what are you trying to show here? Like, you go from battling this Buizel to now kind of training with it, but the training is also unclear in terms of its goals.
Yeah, there was like a lot happening here. I was also kind of unclear with it. I interpreted it as they were like, we're not done with you yet, Buizel. We want a super strong weasel on our team, so we're gonna keep fighting type thing.
Yeah, that's basically it. But it's just like, Buizel hasn't given any indication that he'll join you if you do show you're strong. He's still kind of a jerk. Like, there isn't a lot of evidence here that they show, so which to me was the weird part about it. It kind of seemed like they're just trying to fill out time in this section.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Because right after this, they are talking again with Buizel when a net comes out of nowhere and snatches it up into the air because, of course, Team Rocket is now aiming for this Buizel, and before they can get away, Ash uses Razor Leaf to cut the rope of the net, not the net itself. So Buizel's now falling from the air, trapped in this net, so it's immobilized, until Dawn jumps out and catches Buizel and then falls into the pond again, holding Buizel. But then Piplup helps them, like, kind of get to shore. Which I was like, I'm pretty sure almost every time we see this, Ash's Turtwig or whoever's breaking the net also makes sure the Pokemon can like get free from it.
Yeah, I feel like at this point I was like a little bit lost. Just there was like a lot of things happening, and I was like, I don't really know where we are headed with this, and was just kind of zoning out a little bit.
Yeah, fair. It's like, okay, we're trying to just move the plot, I guess. And then they pretty much just send off Team Rocket blasting off, using Buizel's Water Gun and Piplup's Bubble Beam combined, which takes us to the next point where Buizel's like, alright, I'm gonna battle Dawn. And again, now with Piplup out in the open, she goes in for another battle. What do you think about Buizel challenging Dawn right after this?
I feel like that's just Buizel chickening out, you know? He's like, you have a water type Pokemon that can beat you, you know? He like doesn't want to go up against electric type Pikachu again. And wait, where was Zoe in all of this time in her Glameow? They were just chilling.
Yeah, they were just with Brock and like watching them both try to train with this Buizel, because if you remember, she didn't really want to go for Buizel. Buizel just challenged her.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Buizel's just wants to fight whoever wants to fight. And he sees this cute little penguin and is like, I can beat you up. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, Buizel's a great little, like, otter. It's like, but it's also cool, which I think is a nice little balance. And it goes in for a battle with Piplup again, where it's, again, kind of repeating what we saw last time. Of Piplup just getting beat up by Buizel until Zoe calls out and says, hey, think of this like a contest battle, which gets Dawn thinking and refocused on how to approach this. So she starts off by having a new tactic and has Piplup use Bubble Beam to surround Buizel with these bubbles to kind of immobilize and confuse it a little bit.
Yeah, is this where Piplup does that like spinny bubble beam thing? Yeah, I thought this was cool.
I thought it was cool, but then, like, if you don't think about it too hard, because I'm like, how is Piplup controlling these bubbles? like, there's a lot of questions here, but it is kind of nice to think about how Buizel is used to just straight up battles. So by taking this approach, they actually might have an advantage here, which does give Piplup an opening to go in with Peck and do some damage there. Now that it was kind of trapped by the bubbles. And then I think it goes in for a Whirlpool?
Yes.
Yeah, this is where we pull out the big move, even though this does give enough of an opening for Dawn to use a Pokeball and try to catch Weasel again, but it breaks out of the ball, and then the battle continues for a little while longer. Piplup kind of barely holding on, really, because it's again another intense battle. Weasel is a strong Pokemon, clearly. It tries to send Piplup into the water using Sonic Boom. Dawn actually says Piplup to stay in the water as it goes in for Aqua Jet. And then Piplup uses Whirlpool to actually trap Weasel inside, hitting it with Bubble Beam to knock it out, or at least really close to knocking it out. And then Dawn throws a Pokeball again, which works.
It does, and now Dawn has a Buizel.
Yeah, she's got 2 water types now.
Yeah, is Dawn gonna be a water type trainer? Is this gonna be her thing?
She's secretly the new Misty.
That makes sense.
What did you think about Dawn catching Buizel?
I kind of expected Ash to catch it. I feel like it would make the most sense for Ash to catch it, because he like wants the most powerful Pokemon for battles, etc., you know? Whereas I feel like up until now, Dawn has just gone for like the really cute Pokemon. So like, I don't know. I guess it's like maybe trying to show that Dawn is like becoming a stronger trainer and can like take down this crazy Buizel that has been beating up like Zigzagoons and whoever else got beat up at the beginning of the episode. So like I guess it's like supposed to be showing some character development for her, but I feel like it doesn't quite fit as well as maybe going to Ash, but maybe that's like on purpose to like progress Dawn's development as a trainer.
Yeah, I think it's a very good take on it, and we'll definitely see more about this relationship later, especially in the next 2 episodes.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to see Dawn really go for it in terms of catching a Pokemon that isn't her style necessarily, and even have Weasel break out of the ball for once. Like, we don't always see that where they fail to catch it at first and then they keep trying.
Yeah, actually, when Ash threw the first ball, I was sitting there thinking, like, have we ever seen a Pokemon break out of the ball? Like, do we just see, is it even worth showing these shakes if they just always catch them? And then he broke out. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
They're like, we hear you, we're going to justify this.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting catch and kind of mixes up the team a little bit, where we see back-to-back characters that aren't Ash actually make new additions to the team, with Brock and the Egg, and now Dawn and the Weasel. And then they decide to keep going on their way to Eternal City and then Heart Home, and say goodbye to Zoe, who doesn't come along with them because she's A, going to return the fishing rods to the trainers, and B, wants to stick around and see what she catches along this river.
Yeah, Zoe too cool for this gang.
Zoe's like, I still kind of want to catch something. Like, that seemed fun. So she tells Dawn to take Piplup to a Pokemon Center and heal. And they say that they'll see each other at the next Heart Home contest. And they keep going forward to Ash's next gym battle. What do you think Zoe catches on this route?
Ooh, she catches, oh man, I don't know. Okay, wait, you have to give me a sec to look up the water Pokemon in Sinnoh. It's gotta be a Sinnoh Pokemon, right? Okay. I feel like it's gotta be like, Sinnoh Here we go. Like, I really want it to be like a derpy fish. Is there a derpy fish in this generation?
Phidion, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I feel like I would like it to be a derpy fish, but I don't think it's going to be a derpy fish. Let's see. What is like a new Pokemon? Oh, it's gonna be a Shellos. I want her to catch a Shellos.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, okay. With Whiscash is what I was thinking of. Like,
Oh,
dirty
Gen
fish.
3, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put. Oh, or it could be a Wooper. She could get a Wooper. Or like a Meryl. Oh my gosh, these are all such good options. These are also not just like Gen 4 Pokemon, but just
Right.
Pokemon in Sinnoh. Okay, in order of. Oh man, okay. It could also be. I'm gonna say that my number one choice is gonna be a Mantike, and
Okay.
then I'm gonna
Ooh.
vote for Finneon, and then I'm gonna vote for Wooper. Those are my 3
Okay.
predictions.
Good to know. I will reference this going forward when we
Great.
we do find out what she catches. And what's really funny is that I did not remember she even said that line. That she's like, "Oh, I'm going to stick around and catch this," because we do see her next edition, and I'm like, "Oh, huh." So it wasn't just like a throwaway line. Like, I actually kind of set her up a bit, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, that's fun.
What did you think about Weasel Your Way Out of This, episode 34 of Diamond and Pearl?
I'm gonna give this episode like a 5.5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was fine. It wasn't really gripped by it. Like, there was just a lot of like fighting this Buizel, and it was kind of like the same thing throughout the episode, and I was like, it's fine. Like, I think my favorite at the end was Piplup doing his little bubble beam spin thing, which was very cute and very effective. And I liked seeing, I like seeing these like contest moves in the real world. I think that's cool. So I did like that, but everything else was just kind of like, for me, it was like, meh, it's fine.
That's fair. I do think it had a really strong front end and back end with them finding this Weasel and battling it, and you get to see all these different trainers get taken down. And the end was also just a really interesting take on someone who's not Ash go through this kind of complex battle in an attempt to catch it, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a lot of stuff in the middle that just felt really awkward in terms of them like training to try to bond with it or something. It wasn't very neat, and I think was the weak spot of this episode. Though I won't go as low as you for the rating. I think I'll probably give it a 6.5.
Cool.
Matching with the last one, but for very different reasons.
They were very different episodes.
Totally. This one's a lot more action heavy and kind of closer to the plot, where we see characters return and new ones being added to our crew. Generally could have been shorter. Like, it could have been maybe like 5 to 7 minutes shorter and stronger for that case. This is pretty much it for this week's episode. What do you think about we talked a little bit about Zoe, but are there any other party predictions for the team now that we see Brock with a new egg and Dawn with the Buizel?
Is somebody gonna get a Shinx? I feel like somebody needs a
Shinx. You'll have to stick around and see.
All right, I'm going to take that as a yes. I'm looking forward to seeing my Shinx. That's my other bold prediction here.
Shinx surprisingly has not had a lot of screen time, even though it's a very popular early rat Pokemon in this gen.
Yeah. I would like to see Paul return. Where'd he go?
Oh.
We got a lot of him. He hasn't been back in a while.
Paul shows up in the next episode, I think. Wait, no, it shows up in he shows up in 5 episodes actually.
Okay, great. Looking forward to it. So waiting for him, and also my boy Nacho. I'm waiting for him to come back too.
Nando!
I really like him. They like bring in so many characters, and then you just like never see him again. So I'd really like Nacho and wait, did his Badoo evolve into a Roselia?
Yep.
Or is it still okay? Yeah, I would like Nacho and Roselia to come back.
Got it. Okay. Fair. All these characters do come back, actually. There aren't...
Amazing. Look at me. I'm such good prediction.
That's what I talked about with Greg there, is that one of the really strong cases of this season is that it's narrative focused. And by virtue of that, there's a lot of characters that do return. It isn't plagued as heavily with character of the days that are just like here once and then you never see them again. Like, there, even some of those who are, you see cameos of them in like these other flashbacks.
Okay, well, that's fun. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and if you're looking forward to seeing more of these episodes with us, as always, you can subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed it, and watch alongside us at Pokemon.com, which has Pokemon TV, and at the current time of this recording has Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, which is Season 10, and has also added Season 11, so if you've caught up to us and moving on, that is also available for you. So feel free to check out the episodes there. Super easy. There's even an app for it, which lets you download episodes and watch them offline. So super handy for sure.
Yeah.
And Karina, thanks so much for being here on this new episode of Sights on Sinnoh.
Thanks for having me on, Ms. Fun as always.
Yeah, and if people want to find you and your hot takes on this episode or other episodes, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm not going to guarantee any hot takes, but I am Pengumon on the internet, Pengumon.
Perfect. Yeah, and we'll be teasing on Twitter, Twitch, if you want to catch me streaming there, and drop all your hot takes on Sinnoh being the best region, fight me, and any other things related to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl coming out. You can catch me there. So until next time, thanks for listening in, and leave your comments down below of what you thought of the episode. So until next time, we'll see you in Sinnoh. Bye!
Bye.